I'm Karina Okotel, and this is the weekly wrap-up coming from our third week in lockdown here in Melbourne. It's estimated that over 1 million people from Muslim minorities, predominantly the Uygher community, are still detained in internment camps in Western China.
These people are systematically oppressed by their own government.
We've been waking up to horrific stories every day, heartbreaking images separating mothers from their children.
They live in a police state, where they're monitored by one of the most advanced and intrusive surveillance systems in the world.
Imagine that the police force you to stand in front of a camera for biometric data collection.
Every online activity is tracked.
Imagine that the police force you to install a spying app on your phone.
Their religion is restricted. Many traditional Muslim names are even banned for newborns.
Party officials are frequently attacking Islam as very old-fashioned, very backward.
These are some of the suspected detention camps where an estimated 1 million Uyghurs are held. Many of them have not been heard from since being detained.
This week, the US blacklisted a further 11 companies connected to alleged human rights abuse of Uyghurs. In response, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said that the Xinjiang issue is not about human rights, religions, or ethnic groups at all, but about combating violence, terrorism, and separatism. See, the Chinese government claimed that these camps are actually vocational training centres to counter radical Islam.
During the post-COVID-19 or during last several months, starting from February, March, not only has China failed to empty its concentration camps for people's safety, but China has sent massive numbers of Uyghurs to China proper to work as slaves.
This propaganda video from February says 179 migrant workers are leaving Xinjiang for Fujian in China's east. Reports suggest that the workers are paid but have no choice about going to the factories. Videos uncovered by the investigative news organisation Coda Story also show groups of Uyghurs being sent away. But listen to the soundtrack, a Chinese version of the old Italian freedom anthem, Bella Ciao. These videos are posted on social media by Uyghurs who are not happy to be bused to factories far from home.
It's really troubling is, they call these Uyghur workers batches. They say they have 500 or 300 workers available to be hired in 15 days. They can be delivered within a week or 2 weeks, and then they can withstand hardship. And they promise if you hire these workers, there will be no staff loss.
Without a doubt, this is the largest mass detention of a religious group since the Holocaust. Earlier this month, US officials seized a shipment of hair weaves suspected of having been made from the hair of Uyghur people held in a Chinese internment camp. Mia Hansen-Gross, director of the Jewish human rights organisation Renee Kassan, said, "A trade in forcibly removing human hair has chilling and obvious resonances. Suppression already includes mass internment, re-education, slave labour, forced sterilisation, organ farming and other abuses. The Chinese Communist Party is engaged in genocide in Xinjiang, attempting to wipe out an entire culture, language and way of life." And in Melbourne, as face masks became compulsory on Thursday, there is reason to check where a mask is made before buying one, given that at least 2 companies are selling masks manufactured at a Chinese factory using alleged coerced Uyghur labour, as footage released this week shows.
If you are one of the millions of people around the world wearing a face mask because of the coronavirus pandemic, this footage may concern you. It shows a group of Uyghurs arriving at a textile company that started producing masks in response to the pandemic. The Uyghurs are a long-persecuted, largely Muslim ethnic minority. This slickly produced video from Chinese state TV appears to show grateful workers getting ready for their new jobs. But behind this propaganda is a hidden story about a long-standing and highly controversial government labor program that experts say often puts people to work against their will. We reviewed hundreds of videos, photos, government documents, and shipping data to reveal how the surging demand for face masks is linked to this problematic program. We identified several Chinese companies that use Uyghur labor to produce PPE, and we tracked some of their shipments to consumers in the US and around the world.
3 weeks ago, the incredible Australian organisation Collective Shout exposed the illegal sale and importation into Australia of child sex dolls through the Alibaba's group's online marketplace described as young girl, flat chest and sex dolls for men. Some dolls were just 65 centimetres, the size of a 6-month-old child. Collective Shout had documented the details of 11 sellers which used Alibaba's platform to sell child sex dolls. This week, in a sadly slow-acting but nevertheless massive win, Alibaba issued a statement saying, "We maintain a robust product listing policy that prohibits the listing by third-party sellers of any items depicting or suggestive of sex involving minors, and third-party sellers in breach of the policy are subject to our disciplinary measures. After being notified of such listings by Collective Shout, we have taken action to remove them and implement a number of additional measures to prevent the items being relisted. We hope to work with Collective Shout in the future on the ongoing fight against child exploitation and sexual violence." When we feel overwhelmed by injustices all around us, human rights abuses, and utterly depraved behaviour of corporations and fellow human beings, let this story be a reminder that we should never stop fighting the good fight, because change is possible. And finally, naively, I had thought that Black Lives Matter protests would conclude when the police officer who killed George Floyd was rightly charged in May. It's very clear now that the Black Lives Matter movement's primary goal was never justice for George Floyd, but its agenda is part of an anti-conservative government political campaign, which will undoubtedly continue up until the US election. I look forward to discussing this more with you next week, but in the meantime, here is some food for thought.
I'm not talking about every single one of us, of course, but vast majority of Black Americans look at the Republican Party as the enemy.
How is it that a Black person ends up a Republican? Now, there's no simple answer to how I, a Black person, ended up a Republican. And I think the question is problematic in the first place. The question assumes that all Black people think alike, talk alike, and vote alike, as if Black people are some homogenous group.
All lives matter. All lives matter. You would never see me walking down the road with a damn Black Lives Matter sign. If you do, I got a gun to my head. As Black men, Black Americans. I'm not African American, I'm a Black American. I was never born in Africa. Yeah, I'm a proud American. This whole Black Lives Matter, why I can't get down with this organization? Main reason, your whole narrative that police officers are hunting down Black men on a daily. Yeah, like it's a purge. That Black Lives Matter organization is just to keep Black folks upset because the Democrats want you to vote for the Democrats. Yeah, that's the whole point of this organization, is keep Black people pissed off. Yeah. So they can keep you enslaved mentally like you need them. Yeah. Because they're supposed to be y'all saviors.
Let's look at something very, very interesting. I think you're going to enjoy this. So let's go there. Let's go there. All right, so now we're taken here to their official site. Then it says here that this AB Charities is a registered charitable organization formed to democratize charitable giving. What party is the party that's blue? Would that be the Democrat Party? Affiliations with the Democratic Party. So folks, when you're giving to the cause, you're giving to the same people, the same party that has caused the problems to begin with. So this is their 2020 PAC summary, their political action committee. So they took in, wow, quite a bit of money. Wow, that is over $1 billion. Let's look at just recipients overall. Biden is not black. Elizabeth Warren is Native American. The money that you think you're giving to the cause goes to this organization that likes to spend their money on Bernie, Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and Pete. They're 4 top people. None of them are a person of color.
Well, folks, that's all from me. Don't forget to subscribe to thegoodsource.news, hit like, share, and leave a comment. And I look forward to seeing you next week to wrap up the news once again.